When Alexander the Great, the most powerful man in history, arrived in Corinth, everyone lined up to greet him. Kings, generals, merchants, all trembled, hoping to gain his favor, to receive a shred of his approval. Because Alexander was the pinnacle of status. He was power, fame, wealth. But one person didn't even rise. A dirty, half-naked man living in a barrel, Diogenes. Alexander stood over this strange man. His shadow fell upon Diogenes. Alexander asked, "I am Alexander the Great. Ask me whatever you wish." Everyone expected Diogenes to ask for gold, a palace, or a title. Diogenes, however, simply narrowed his eyes and gave the answer that has gone down in history: "Do not cast a shadow, I ask for no other favor." At that moment, Alexander froze. He had conquered half the world, but he did not have the approval of this man living in a barrel. Diogenes had refused to play the status game. Alexander turned around and said to his generals, "If I weren't Alexander, I would want to be Diogenes." Today, in the modern world, we all strive to be Alexander. A better title, more followers, a more expensive watch. We all try to climb an invisible ladder of hierarchy. We shout, "I'm important, notice me." But why? Why does being ordinary feel like death to us? In this video, we'll talk about that craving for validation, how the hormone serotonin enslaves you, and how you can break free from that game and truly be free. Just like Diogenes, most people think serotonin is the happiness hormone. Wrong. Serotonin is the status hormone. It's the answer in your brain to the question, where do I rank in this pack? Let's go back 350 million years. To lobsters. Lobsters fight each other for safe caves. The winning lobster's brain releases a large amount of serotonin. This hormone physically changes it. It stands tall, opens its claws, and is confident. It says, "I am the champion." The losing lobster's serotonin drops. It shrinks, becomes smaller, and depressed. It no longer fights. The human brain uses the same mechanism. That feeling of expansion you experience when you're praised in a group, get a promotion, or your Instagram photo gets a lot of likes. That's serotonin. Conversely, that feeling of shrinkage you experience when you're ignored, criticized, or excluded. That's a serotonin drop. For our ancestors, falling to the bottom of the group meant death. It meant being the last to eat, not being able to mate, and being the first to be sacrificed. That's why your brain has a status detector. It constantly scans, am I being respected right now? Are they taking me seriously? Therefore, the fear of, what will people think, isn't a silly obsession, but an evolutionary survival mechanism. But the problem is, we no longer live in tribes of 150 people. We live on the internet with billions of people. And your brain short-circuits while trying to compete with the whole world. The greatest curse of the modern age, status anxiety. In the past, if you were a peasant, you wouldn't envy the king. Because being king wasn't in your league. Your fate was sealed, and you were at peace. But today, we grow up with the lie that anyone can be anything. Elon Musk is human, and so are you. If you work hard enough, you too can be a billionaire. This seems like wonderful freedom, but it's actually a terrible form of oppression. Because if you fail, there's no fate or gods to blame. The only culprit is you. Alain de Botton calls this personalizing success. If wealth is an indicator of intelligence and hard work, then poverty becomes an indicator of stupidity and laziness. That's why we hide our old cars. We're ashamed of our cheap clothes. Not because we're poor, but because we're afraid of being branded a failure, that is, of not being respected. We play the status game through possessions. Louis Vuitton bags aren't bought for their quality. The logo on that bag is a tribal symbol. It means, I'm upper class, respect me. We're trying to buy serotonin, you know Narcissus from Greek mythology, the man who fell in love with his own reflection. But the tragic part of the story is this: Narcissus didn't even realize that what he saw in the water was himself. He mistook it for someone else and drowned while trying to reach it. Social media is our lake. That perfect self on our profile is our reflection. We look at it. How happy, how much of a traveler, how flawless. And we mistake that reflection for the real us. As the chasm widens between the real us, the tired, indebted, sometimes sad us, and that digital avatar us, our souls are shattered. People sacrifice their real lives to feed that avatar. Taking a picture of this moment and getting validation becomes more important than living in the moment. If you go to a concert and don't post a story, you haven't really been. Why? Because your tribe, your followers, didn't see it. No serotonin was released. This is a disease. Like Narcissus, we are drowning in the image we have created for ourselves. So, what's the solution? Should we run away to a cave? Should we shut down Instagram? No. The solution is to become aware of the game. Alexander was the man who won the game. But he was still hungry. Diogenes was the man who refused to play the game. And he was satiated. There are 3 ways to escape the status game. 1. Establish your own hierarchy. Society's hierarchy is based on money and fame. You can lose in this game. But you can establish your own game. In my hierarchy, the most valuable things are honesty, good fathering, or knowledge. If you define your own value set, you won't care if others judge you as poor or unknown. Because while they are judging you by basketball rules, you are playing chess. 2. Eliminate the spotlight effect. When you go out on the street with a smudge, you think everyone is staring at you. The truth is, nobody cares. Everyone is the lead in their own movie, you're just an extra. It takes them 2 minutes to forget you. This isn't depressing, it's liberating knowledge. Nobody cares about you that much. Make a mistake, embarrass yourself. Nobody will remember. 3. Internal serotonin production. If you expect serotonin from outside, likes, praise, titles, you become a slave. You must produce serotonin from inside, self-respect. When you accomplish something difficult, have you ever congratulated yourself without telling anyone? That's the purest serotonin. Being able to say, I kept my promise to myself. As Brad Pitt said in Fight Club, you are not your job. You are not your money. You are not the car you drive. Whatever remains when you lose these things, that is, you. The status game is the game of the ego. And the ego is always hungry. Alexander conquered the world at 32, but died unhappy. Even his tomb is lost. Diogenes, on the other hand, lived to be 89 and died smiling. The choice is yours. Will you play a life you don't love for the applause of others? Or will you tell them not to cast a shadow and bask in your own sunshine? Stop trying to be someone important. Be yourself. After all, being nobody is the greatest freedom in the world.